Hello and welcome to News Central Television. My name is Mazino Appeal. Our top stories tonight: Nigeria's leading faith denominations bicker over allegation of Christian genocide in the country. And hope of holding PDP National Convention dims as Oyo State High Court adjourns hearing till Wednesday, November 12th. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy released from prison pending appeal hearing over alleged Libyan government funding.
Tell you that Nigeria exceeds 2025 target by 55.6%, borrowing 17.36 trillion naira in first 10 months of the year.
Sports star forward Victor Osimhen and 4 other players are expected in camp of the Super Eagles as they prepare for the Gabon showdown in Morocco.
Tonight begins now. Now we begin tonight with the ongoing controversy over the allegation of genocide in Nigeria. Now there's been war of words between the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria and the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs over the security issue. While the PFN President Bishop Francis Oke claimed that the level and persistence of attacks on Christians in several parts of northern Nigeria could no longer be debated, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs rejected the instance, saying that what is happening in Nigeria is far from Christian genocide. According to the council, the situation on ground was a security challenge and not a religious war, describing the claims as false, politically driven, and a threat to national unity. But the PFN representatives has swiftly responded, noting that the United States President Donald Trump's concerns reflect a reality that many Nigerians are witnessing.
Of a state-led or coordinated campaign to exterminate Christians, which is what genocide is. The genocide claim completely collapses when confronted with reality, context, and verifiable data. What Nigeria faces is a complex and tragic security crisis that brings immeasurable pain to all its citizens, regardless of faith or ethnic persuasion. From Katsina to Borno, and from Benue to Plateau, as well as to Kaduna and Kwara, Nigeria bleeds through gruesome savagery against Muslims and Christians, imams and priests.
To politics now. There seems to be no end in sight to the crisis bedeviling the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. An Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan has adjourned the hearing of a motion on notice in the case involving the party and its acting national chairman, Umar Damagun, till Wednesday, November the 12th. The case, filed by Folahan Adelabi, seeks to restrain the PDP and its officials from disrupting or frustrating the party's forthcoming national convention. Justice Ladina Akintola had earlier ruled on an ex parte motion last week, allowing the PDP to proceed with the convention pending further hearing. During Monday's session, the judge urged both parties to file all necessary processes to ensure the smooth commencement of the case when proceedings resume on Wednesday. Meanwhile, residents of Anambra have expressed satisfaction with the conduct of last Saturday's gubernatorial election in the state. According to them, key players were intentional about the process which led to the success recorded. News Central's Chinwe Ogele here has more.
The Saturday gubernatorial election in Anambra State may have been decided. Analysts say its success was largely due to its timing as an off-cycle exercise. This factor, they claim, contributed to the efficiency of the electoral umpire and the security operatives whose numbers were doubled to oversee the process, unlike in the general election.
The security was so tight. So everybody they happy at the election. Amen.
Some residents have applauded the Independent National Electoral Commission for early distribution of materials and conduct of staff.
It's a good thing for them, so they should continue like that. It's good for everybody, you know. The earlier, the better.
I think it's known for their wonders. In fact, I was marveled over because if you watch over the final when they were asking in the television, any problem? Nobody gave any problem.
But for an isolated case where a councillor was shot dead on his way home after voting last Saturday, the people say the heavy presence of security men in the state during the election was commendable.
INEC did a lot of work. Likewise, the police. They all tried their best to make that election a success.
Security is never too much. It's never too much. It's okay. I mean, they should continue like this for the presidential election. Let it be like this too as well.
Police in Anambra State say the deployment of personnel to the state was carefully done to match the situation on the ground.
We were able to achieve what we can call a non-violent election here in Anambra. I will categorically say that from the quarters of what we have gotten so far, I can say that the election was hitch-free.
For the residents, the 2027 general elections and subsequent polls would be a successful outing if INEC could adopt the modus operandi it adopted during the Anambra election.
Election. I will like it because from that election, people do all right. Well, happiness.
Following the 8th November gubernatorial election in Anambra State, it is safe to say that the number of security personnel on the ground helped prevent violation of law and order, just as the residents deserve some commendations for their commitment to a peaceful exercise. In Oka, for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
We'll now cross to our correspondents in Anambra State, Austin Azu and Chinwe Ugele, for the post-election activities in the state. First off, I have Austin. Austin, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. The governorship election in Anambra has concluded. Professor Chukwuma Soludo, he secured another term as governor. So, Austin, bring us up to speed. What has been the general atmosphere across Anambra since the official declaration?
Evening, Zeno. Of course, from the report by Chiwen, you agree with me that the atmosphere here in Anambra State is filled with a lot of excitement, and begin by saying that even this evening, the deputy governorship candidate of the APC, that's Senator Uche Ekwenife, posted on her verified Facebook page this evening congratulating the governor-elect, that's Charles Chukwuma Soludo, for his re-election. And besides that, if you go to the streets of Anambra State, even where we are in Oka precisely, the residents of the state are quite happy about the turnout of events. And from what some of them are equally saying, that they are looking forward to see this kind of exercise, in repeat of it, comes 2027. However, but some other persons from the ABGA precisely raised some concerns about the incident that took place at the councillor that was murdered somewhere within the state. That's Francis Onyeka at Oroma South during the election. They are equally calling for justice for the councillor. The councillor happens to be the leader of the house, and it's very unfortunate that during the election day at about 1:30 p.m. after casting his vote, he was murdered. So very unfortunate that the accident happened. However, the residents of the state are looking forward to see what will become subsequent time across the country about the election. But nevertheless, the certificate of return the governor is bid to receive his certificate of return tomorrow at the INEC headquarters as informed. So back to you in the studio.
that situation there about the councillor. But Chinwe, let me come to you. You were on ground. This is your station. Now, the election also marked the first major test for the new INEC chairman, Joash Amukpita, who came into office just only, moments ago. Had promises of transparency, efficiency. So how has his performance been received both within political circles and also civil society groups? Chinwe?
For the residents of Anambra and everyone who witnessed the election, it's been all applause for the Independent National Electoral Commission, because according to what many of them said, this is the first time they'll be witnessing such a conduct of election in the state. Prior to this time, it's always been about complaints, what INEC didn't do well, what they should have done, or how they should have improved in their activities. So this time around, people found it difficult to actually say, okay, this area there was lapse or noticed any wrongdoing in their conduct. So for everybody who have had cause to speak with concerning the performance of INEC in this past election, it's been like 100% for them, because first, they sent out materials on time, and second, the officials at the different polling units were very professional, and that, to a lot of people, was something they could deal with.
That this was baptism by fire, because many people are saying that this was baptism by fire, given Anambra's reputation for complex electoral dynamics. So would you say this election has helped to strengthen or maybe weaken public confidence in INEC under his leadership? That's Professor Joash Amukpita. Chinwe, that's for you.
I didn't get the last part.
I asked if you agree if this was baptism by fire, as many people are thinking. Would you say that this election helped to strengthen, or did it help to weaken public confidence in INEC?
I think if there's anything to take from this is that INEC's rating has gone up. It has actually strengthened people's confidence in INEC. What it means is that INEC has, people now believe that INEC has the capacity and ability to actually conduct an election that is rancor-free, because a lot of people believe that it is the ill performance of INEC all this while that have led to conflict at the polling units, because once they don't dispatch materials early, people get agitated, and then there's this rancor amongst the voters and political party agents. So their performance in this just concluded election here in Anambra State has taken their rating so high that people are now, saying that next election they are willing to participate, since INEC has decided to do something good. Because some people who didn't want to vote and who didn't go out to vote said that they were not sure that the elections, that the materials will arrive. And lo and behold, materials arrived, and they arrived quite early.
Anyway, thank you very much. High ratings then, I guess. But Austin, let me come back to you. We've seen a mixture of jubilation and also quiet acceptance, depending on which part of the state you're from in any case. So how are the opposition parties this time? The opposition parties, how are they reacting to the outcome? Are there any indications of challenges or maybe petitions on the horizon?
Of course, Zeno, from the press briefing we had yesterday with the APC governorship candidates, that's Nicolas Sarkozy, actually reiterated that they are studying the outcome of the elections, and of course they are collating data. And not only that, he equally alleged that his supporters were allegedly, intimidated, abused, and not only that, somewhere within Anambra West, one of his faithful members' house was burnt down, and they are calling on thorough investigation on that issue. And besides that too, they are equally saying that they are studying the outcome of the election, that whatever is the outcome of their findings, definitely the party will take the right decision to advance their strength in the state here. And not only that as well, other political party like the Labour Party, a governorship candidate, and of course the ADC as well, they rejected the outcome of the election, and knowing fully well that what happened during the election regarding the issue of alleged vote buying and so on and so forth. So these are some of the things that the oppositions are putting up together, precisely the APC governorship candidate that is putting up together to file, to study, then thereafter the next action will be taken by the party. But nevertheless, we have seen here some other political party are congratulating the governor already. So it means that they have a divided opinion about the outcome of the election. While some are considering taking legal aspects at the end of the consideration of their reports, others are saying that no need for them to go to court. Hence, since it's one family, Anambra State, they consider it as a big family that they need to work together to advance the state to the next level. So back to you, Zino.
Well, Austin Azu and Chinwe Ogele, I want to say thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you. We'll now take a break. Coming up tonight, it's World Science Day. When we'll tell you much about that when we return after this short break. Welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Nigeria's leading faith denominations bicker over allegations of Christian genocide in the country. And hope of holding PDP National Convention dims as Oyo State High Court adjourns hearing till Wednesday, November 12. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy released from prison pending appeal hearing over alleged Libyan government funding. A fresh controversy is brewing over alleged marginalization in the federal appointments. This is amid allegations of Christian genocide in the country by U.S. President Donald Trump. The Arawa Christians and Indigenous Pastors Association is accusing the federal government of sidelining Christians in key civil service positions. The group claims that for the post of permanent secretary in Gombe State, a Christian candidate, Yelwa Joseph, who scored 83%, was replaced by another Mohammed Musa Isiaku, who scored 53%, calling it a clear case of injustice and religious discrimination.
A distant 53% winner. Who got 53 or 55%. A Muslim from 5th position is now being announced by the federal government, Federal Civil Service Commission, that he is now the legitimate person that will be sworn in tomorrow. We said no to this marginalization. Therefore, I call on all the media, international organizations, to take away shame, to take away the greed of the stomach for today, and let us unite and pull down bad leadership and restore Nigeria, because we believe the greatness of Nigeria will begin and begins from the gates of the north.
If the government, the head of service, and the president himself refuse to change this, how long are we going to be using people that does not merit a position to put them there? Are we in animal farms where some animals are more equal than others? We are not. We need a better Nigeria.
Nigeria's drive toward balanced regional development is gaining momentum as the leadership of the 7 regional development commissions has met with President Bola Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. News Central's House correspondent Bettina Nweli here reports.
Of Regional Development. The visit provides an opportunity to introduce the leadership of the new commissions to the President and give him a detailed brief of ongoing projects and challenges across the regions. The minister says that the commissions are vital instruments for tackling development gaps nationwide, from renewable energy to agriculture, water supply, education, and infrastructure.
These 7 development commissions Mr. President has put in place, as far as we're concerned on this side, represent the surest bullets we intend to use by this administration to shoot down all development challenges facing us as a nation.
In the Northeast, for instance, the Commission says 14 bridges and 18 roads are under construction to reconnect communities previously cut off by insurgency, including the newly accessible area in Borno State. Projects such as the Operation Light Up the Niger Delta have also improved safety and development in previously insecure riverine areas.
Jerebol area is one of the areas that has been infected by the insurgency in the past, because that area is agriculturally viable and so on and so forth. So the insurgency captured that area. But today, you can go there, you can go the whole of the area, Jerebol, important meanings, because all the towns you can mention, Zabarmari, Gongulong, Koshepe, are all linked by about 48 kilometers of roads. That opened up the area.
How we came up with the Operation Light Up the Niger Delta? It was born out of the needs assessment of what the people needed. The people needed their communities to be illuminated due to the level of insecurity in some of these communities. Some of the communities that were taken over by militants that were converted to camps was because most of those communities were very, very dark. But today, most of our communities, you hardly find a community that is dark, and nobody can take over any community to perpetrate crime.
The ministry says all commissions will work hand in hand with state governments and federal agencies like FERMA and the Works Ministry to address bad roads and enhance maintenance culture nationwide. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
As Nigeria joins the world to mark the World Science Day, stakeholders in Plateau State have called for increased focus on science as an enabler to shaping a peaceful, equitable, smarter and more sustainable future. This was during a press briefing by the Commission of Science and Technology in the state as part of activities to mark the 2025 World Day of Science and Technology. News Central's Chizoba Nyanwe completes the report.
With the theme, Trust, Transformation and Tomorrow, the science we need for 2050, this annual event is a wake-up call for more action for a healthier society. For the convener of this meeting, the challenges of climate change pose a major threat to citizens of the state, threats that can be solved through the application of science and technology.
This celebration matters to us in the sense that science is central to addressing global issues such as climate change, health crisis, and technological equity. It is essential to peace building, offering practical, sustainable solutions to contemporary global challenges. And by responding to climate crisis, epidemic, and resource shortages, science helps mitigate the root causes of many conflicts.
With recent discoveries across the globe, this event, celebrated on November the 10th every year, draws attention to the need to focus on science as a key objective of the World Science Day.
One, to ensure that citizens are kept informed of development in science. Secondly, to strengthen public awareness of the role of science in peaceful and sustainable society. Thirdly, to promote collaboration in scientific research.
The need for a review of policies to catch up with modern development as a way of improving science in Plateau State has become necessary.
You can imagine that we have a science, technology, and innovation policy that has reached 20 years without a single review. A policy that does not have even words like AI, words like quantum computing, words like cloud and other emerging technologies and emerging technologies that we have today. So we are working towards the review of that.
Established in 2002, UNESCO hopes that active participation of stakeholders in this area will meet the demand for a healthier society in years to come. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyui.
Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has tasked young Christians to take ownership of the ongoing national narrative and champion messages that foster unity, countering misinformation and promoting peaceful coexistence. The First Lady, who was represented by the wife of the Chief of Staff, Salamatu Gbajabiamila, at the National Christian Youth Leaders Summit in Abuja, urged young Nigerians to leverage faith platforms, campuses, and digital spaces to push stories that unite rather than divide. This was during a summit organized by the youth wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria amidst heightened discourse around allegations of Christian persecution in the country.
These times call for love, enhanced unity, and fervent prayer. Let us choose harmony over division, be our brother's keeper, and stand against every form of religious bigotry or ethnic intolerance. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the government has redoubled its commitment to security of lives and property, guided by the renewed hope agenda to build a united, resilient, and prosperous Nigeria.
We stand here today on behalf of millions of Christian youth across the country to say, stop the killings of Christians, stop the killings of Muslims, stop the killings of all Nigerians. Every life matters. Every Nigerian deserves protection. No citizen should be abandoned to the weapons of criminals. To our leaders and security commanders, we appeal to you, act now.
President Trump pardons Giuliani and others accused of attempts to overturn defeat in the 2020 election. This and more stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. To one of our top stories now, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from prison pending an appeal over his conviction for allegedly receiving illegal campaign funds from Libya. A Paris court approved the 70-year-old's request for release on Monday after prosecutors backed the move. Sarkozy had served 20 days of a 5-year sentence handed down in September for seeking funding from the regime of former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi during his 2007 presidential campaign. He described his time in prison as grueling and a nightmare. Sarkozy, who governed France from 2007 to 2012, became the first former leader of an EU nation to serve jail time. His appeal hearing is set for March 2026. I'm now joined by an international journalist and policy analyst, Tham Sakazu. Good to have you here, Tham, and welcome on Tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much, Azuma, for having me.
You're welcome. Now, Sarkozy, he's been freed while his appeals, well, even after a serious conviction like that. Would a politician from Africa, let's use this as an example, in a similar scandal, ever get this kind of leniency? Or is this another example of how justice works differently depending on where you're from?
Well, in a way, the way that justice is designed to work differently depending on the jurisdiction where you are. But what tends to happen within the African context is there is, what we can call jury that's out there that says most of the African politics is influenced by interest from outside regional blocs that are seeking political capital depending on who is in power and who has to go to prison when they leave, not just Africa, Latin America and Asia as well, because that's where we tend to see most leaders being imprisoned after they have left office. For Sarkozy, for France, I think this is the first time since 1945. Remember, the people who were believed to be sympathetic to Nazi Germany, they are the ones who were imprisoned at the time. Other than that, post the Second World War, there's nobody else that I can think of that was dragged to the court. So Sarkozy is an odd one out in that regard. But seeing him going out, of course, you have to look at the jurisdiction in France, but also the members that you hear in Paris that is very close to the minister, Damana, who visited him when he was in prison just these couple of weeks.
Tham, Libya's name keeps resurfacing in these Western scandals, from arms deal to campaign money. What does this tell us about how African countries are used in global power games, and how much control we really have over our own political image abroad?
In a way, Libya was very unique. Muammar Gaddafi was very unique as well, because he was pushing for influence in Africa and he had the resources to do it. There are not many African leaders who would be accused of, paying money towards a campaign to influence the politics outside Africa, especially in Europe. But Libya, under Gaddafi, had a lot of resources. They had capacity to have contracts, and the amount of power that he had, from the resources to the respect and to his agenda, trying to unite Africa from an economic point of view, made him, a unique character. So, which is why, in this case, that they are alleging that there was, or maybe there's, I don't know whether we should still use allegedly, because there was a conviction of conspiracy. So that's why in France they are basically saying that there was money available, and the campaign of former President Sarkozy reached out and was working with the Libyans to be able to influence the Libyan agenda and political interests once they were in power from 2007 to during the course of that term. But there are not many, even Nigeria, rich as it is unlikely to be accused of sponsoring campaigns for political leaders in Europe.
But isn't it funny that Sarkozy was part of a group of nations, or at least leaders of a group of nations, that actually also, well, after he had asked for money from Libya, also gathered to bomb Libya itself, or rather take out the leader of Libya? Doesn't that strike you as kind of like weird or funny?
Well, interest will always shift, because sometimes, remember, even the government of Tony Blair and others, when Saif Gaddafi, when Libya's leader, Muammar Gaddafi, was in London at the London School of Economics, they reached out to him. They convinced him that there was an agenda to democratize Libya. A lot of European leaders did reach out, not just France, not just former President Sarkozy, but a lot of European leaders did reach out to Muammar Gaddafi at the time. But now the questions are being asked after the NATO move on Tripoli, whether they were doing this to be able to understand, to draw him closer, and once they thought they got him, once he let his guard down, maybe at that particular moment they were able to then move in. They would not have been able to move in if he had been as closed as he was when he was in the 80s under Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, Mitterrand, and other leaders at the time. So it's difficult to know whether these links are what ended up making Gaddafi vulnerable to the kind of thing that happened in 2011. Maybe not, but politics do shift. Political interests will shift very, very quickly, especially if there is a body like NATO and others that are pushing. With the Americans there, remember, President Obama was in power, and he had a lot of influence in terms of making a determination to what was going to happen. The French, of course, even if they didn't want to, still they had to follow what the American leader was going to be at the time, was it?
Well, Tam, I wanted to know if you could give us any suggestion regarding how African countries should start to look at these kinds of influence when it comes to campaign money. And please make it in 30 seconds, because we're out of time.
Well, yeah, in a way, one would say that the nature of politics in Africa is already moving away from the influence. When you look at Burkina Faso, the Guineas, Mali, they are moving away from the influence of Paris. We also saw that even when President Tinubu came to power, it's different. The way that the Americans are relating to South Africa now, Nigeria and other countries, it's now very, very different. It would appear that from a sovereign point of view, neo-colonial times are more or less going to be over very soon.
Well, Tham Zhu, thank you very much for joining us on Tonight.
Okay.
Now, staying outside the shores, United States President Donald Trump has pardoned supporters and former aides suspected of working to reverse the 2020 election results, as he continues to insist that his loss for former President Joe Biden was due to widespread fraud. The pardons announced late on Sunday include Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and his ex-chief of staff, Mark Meadows, as well as dozens of illegitimate electors who were selected to help keep him in power. Lawyers John Eastman and Kenneth Casebro, whom Democrats accuse of pressuring then-President Mike Pence, or Vice President, I beg your pardon, Mike Pence, to refuse to certify the election results, were also pardoned. Now, tonight returns with business, sports, and also entertainment. Do stay with us.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Talking business now, Nigerian government has borrowed 17.36 trillion naira in the first 10 months of 2025, overshooting its 10.9 trillion naira target by 6.06 trillion naira, or 55.6%, with another planned $2.35 billion Eurobond. A total borrowing could near 23 trillion naira, almost about 80% above budget projections. Financial analysts warn this rising debt, fueled by weak revenue and fiscal indiscipline, risks trapping the nation in a cycle of unsustainable borrowing, crowding out private sector credit and undermining growth, investor confidence, and economic stability. Let's now tell you that Ghana has signed a bilateral debt agreement with Germany, the sixth under its ongoing debt restructuring program. Finance Minister Dr. Kasil Ato-Forsen said the deal marks a vital step in Ghana's economic recovery, strengthening fiscal stability and supporting long-term growth. He thanked Germany for its continued partnership and trust in Ghana's progress. And German Ambassador Frederick Landschaft congratulated the government, praising efforts to stabilize the economy and reaffirming Germany's commitment to deepening bilateral and economic cooperation with Ghana. But now I'll go on a short break. When we're back, we'll bring you stock markets reports. And looking at the equities markets, the Oyo Share Index closed at 148,781.9 points, down 0.46%, as market capitalization slipped to about 64.52 trillion naira. Now, market value of trade stood at 11.35 billion naira, with 364.34 million shares exchanged in 32,538 deals, reflecting reduced activity. We now look at sectoral performance, as we see that the banking sector dipped 0.65% in terms of what we track. Now, insurance also dipped 4.24%. Oil and gas was actually bland. Consumer goods 0.64%. Industrial goods 0.01%. And across board, you can see a bit of red, looking at how the market has been reacting to most especially the latest reports coming from the U.S., where we've seen the U.S. president talk about invading Nigeria as regards the terrorist activities that we've seen. Now, that particular statement has actually triggered so many reactions in the market in the last 2 weeks. I don't know when or how this will end, but we see this playing across the markets as we've seen it all in the reds in a couple of weeks for now, showing that it's been a bearish run for the past 2 weeks. That's it on Business Anyway. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
And in sports, Team Nigeria continues to impress at the ongoing Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, making a mark on the medals table. Islamiyat Yusuf lifted 110 kg to win gold in the women's 69 kg snatch, while Edidiong Joseph clinched the gold medal in the men's 71 kg weightlifting category, lifting 151 kilogram in the snatch. He also had a 175 kg in the clean and jerk to secure a bronze. His combined total of 326 kg earned him the overall silver medal in the event. Ruth Imolayo Ayodele added to Nigeria's medal haul, winning a silver medal and 2 bronze medals. Competing in the women's 63 kg weightlifting category, Ruth won bronze in the snatch with a lift of 95 kg and followed up with a silver in the clean and jerk with a best of 117 kg. Her total of 212 had her take the overall bronze, just behind Enkelida Kaja, who had 213 kg for silver, and champion Turkey's Aysel Özkan. Now, players continue to trickle into the Super Eagles camp in Rabat ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying playoff against Gabon. The earlier arrivals included Fulham trio of Alex Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, and Samuel Chukwueze, striker Tolu Arokodare, ex-Golden Eaglets forward Olakunle Olusegun, vice-captain Wilfred Ndidi, Paris FC attacker Moses Simon, team captain William Troost Ekong, and defenders Benjamin Frederick and Chidozie Awaziem. Sevilla forwards Akko Adams and Chidera Ejuke joined the team earlier today, increasing the number of players in camp to 16. 5 more players are expected to arrive tonight, and the Super Eagles are scheduled to face Gabon in Rabat on Thursday, with the winner advancing to the African Player Final on the 16th of November against either Cameroon or the Democratic Republic of Congo. As the Nigeria Premier Football League has fined Katsina United 9 million naira and ordered them to play their remaining home games behind closed doors in Jos after violent scenes marred their 1-1 draw with Barao FC. The NPFL cited multiple rule breaches, including failure to provide adequate security and control supporters after fans reportedly invaded restricted areas and injured Barao players. Katsina United were fined 3 million naira for crowd misconduct, 2 million naira for poor security, and 4 million naira in compensation for damages and medical expenses. The club has 48 hours to appeal. Katsina United denied the violence, calling the reports baseless, but the incident follows similar sanctions against Kano Pillars last month, raising league-wide concerns over crowd control. Now, the Confederation of African Football and Sports Equipment Partners, PUMA, have unveiled the official match ball for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations to be hosted by Morocco. Named ITRI, the ball draws inspiration from Morocco's centuries-old Zalige art form, renowned for its intricate geometric mosaics, while symbolizing the unity and passion of African football across the continent. The name also pays tribute to the star featured on the Moroccan flag, and of course it reflects the star patterns that hold significance in traditional Zalige craftsmanship. Now, according to Puma, the ball was manufactured using the Orbiter 6 technology, and it blends heritage with innovation, delivering the performance standards required for elite-level competition while celebrating African culture. The ITR ball will make its debut in the opening match of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco 2025. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka Njoko. Of course, we have entertainment up next after this break.
Up next is entertainment with Adewa. Adewa, what do we have today?
Well, a lot is happening in the entertainment space, and as usual, we're here to drop it as it's hot. Now,
let's hear it.
Let's jump right in. As actress Regina Daniels' brother Sammy has been granted bail after spending several days in detention. Reports say the bail was approved on Monday, November 10th, following his remand by a Dutse magistrate court and subsequent transfer from Kefi prison to Suleja prison. His elder brother, Shwezi, celebrated the news on Instagram, thanking Nigerians for the support, and activist Mama P also confirmed the development as well, sharing a video of herself leaving the courtroom. Now, Sammy's arrest was reportedly linked to the ongoing dispute between Regina Daniels and her estranged husband, Senator Ned Nwoko. Now, with earlier reports suggesting he was detained over alleged harassment and intimidation. Mazino, this conversation has been back and forth. Social media has been going crazy based on what's happening here. So what do you make of this quickly?
Interesting that Ned Nwoko is getting into entertainment just these days.
Yes. All right, now let's move quickly as the 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony was, filled with emotions as music icons Jennifer Hudson, Stevie Wonder, Maxwell, and others came together to celebrate Sly Stone. The legendary frontman of Sly and the Family Stone, Hudson brought the audience to their feet with a soulful rendition of Everyday People, while Stevie Wonder delivered an electrifying version of Thank you. Now, the heartfelt performances served as a powerful reminder of Sly Stone's groundbreaking influence on R&B, soul, and funk genres that continue to echo his creativity decades later. Now, the tribute wasn't just nostalgic, it was a celebration of a visionary who reshaped modern music and inspired generations of artists and all the way. Now, that's all we have on entertainment tonight, by the way.
And that's the news tonight. Remember to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp numbers on your screen now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV across all platforms.